Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. Now in today's video, we're going to be doing another MCU ranking. Well, we'll be ranking with the release of the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It has concluded the 2022 MCU projects. This is the last MCU project until we get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in 2023. So that means today I'm going to stop and rank all 9 2022 MCU projects from the worst to the best. Let's go ahead and get started. Now for me, this kind of breaks my heart that I had to put Thor at last place, because I really wanted to love this film. I really did. And if I'm being honest, I don't think there was anything this year that sucked. But this film definitely is the weakest of everything that I've seen this year for MCU. Mainly because after the massive success I had with Thor Ragnarok, I was like, okay, I'm all down for anything Thor 4 related. I cannot wait. Humor, soundtrack, action sequence, all that great stuff. And they just kind of, first off, the humor, it's not funny. It's very dumbed down. It's a comedy. It's not even funny where they just do too much. I guess you could say there are some jokes that were funny, but honestly, there's not really anything that's laughable about this film. Gore the God Butcher was kind of underutilized. I wish that he had a more interesting motivation, but at the same time, there's something about his character that is kind of appealing. I guess you could say there's only a couple things I did like about the film. The action sequences were awesome, and the story with Jane Foster and the cancer plot line I thought was really cool. And when she died at the end, I actually felt I thought it was a satisfying thing. But at the same time, I couldn't really care for much of that because the movie itself doesn't really have any stakes and it doesn't take itself seriously, so it comes in last place for me. Now, I will say this. Of all the shows that have come out this year, I would say all of the lead actors, the main superheroes that are playing the characters, are great. And Oscar Isaac is fantastic as Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and Jake Lockley, even though we get to see him in the end credit scene of the last episode. But personally, Oscar Isaac steals the show throughout the entire thing. From him being Mark Spector to doing Stephen Grant to doing Jake Lockley, he steals every single show that he is in. The acting is absolutely on point. And really, I thought Ethan Hawke was also a pretty good villain, where he's a different type of villain of helping our character without actually trying to kill him and stuff. And then, I really liked the addition of the Layla character and her turning into the Scarlet Scarab at the end of the series. And, there were some cool action sequences and a nice change of pace that it introduces this plot line that all ancestral planes are different based on religion. So I thought that was kind of a nice little plot line that they decided to come up with. My biggest issue here is I wish there were a lot more action sequences. I wish that this show actually had a lot more Moon Knight. And I kind of wish... I don't know, I liked it, but it wasn't amazing. And honestly, it was fine. And I wouldn't mind watching the series again, but it's definitely not the best thing in the MCU. Alright, now Ms. Marvel, much like Moon Knight, the best thing about this series is, of course, Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. She works so well as this character, and especially I believe this is her first acting job. This is one of her best performances ever, where she has this sort of teenage-like persona stuff, and she's kind of like a little bit like Spider-Man, where she's a superhero in high school. And as you know, but then and you know, some of the other characters I think are actually pretty cool. They're not the best, but they're fun additions to this series. Some of the action I think is actually pretty cool. The worst thing about this series is the story and the way it's organized, and the CGI and the special effects. I think the CGI in this show is absolutely atrocious. Thor: Love and Thunder had better effects, but this movie, this show does not have good special effects at all whatsoever. So I did like it. It was cool, and I'm excited to see her in the Marvels, but it's not the best Disney Plus series. Now, She-Hulk, I know there's a lot of people that just do not like this show. Personally, much like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, the best thing about this show is Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. I loved her in this role. She was so charismatic, so funny, and I thought that this show did a nice story with her, where, you know, it was pretty much every episode, which is kind of like a different story, where it told a story with lawyering and stuff, and kind of did some cool stuff with her character as well. Of course, it was nice to finally see Daredevil in his costume, taking out some bad guys. Of course, that was always fun. All the cameos in this show, from Wong to Hulk to Abomination to Daredevil, all that stuff was great. But that's the problem. It tries to do so much with the cameos, and that it can't really tell a actual good story. And that's kind of the problem with this show, is that it mostly just focuses on cameos, rather. That's why everybody was excited for this show, because they wanted to see Daredevil. They didn't care about the story. They wanted to see Daredevil. But we got this show, and when she breaks the fourth wall in the last episode, I think was cool. But also it feels kind of lazy because you didn't know what else to do. Though I guess you could say it's kind of a different way to do a finale. But overall, I did kind of like this show, though I'm not the biggest fan of it, though. Now, this movie, at first, I was like, this is a really good film. I really enjoy this. The problem with it is I kind of stopped liking the stuff with what they did with Wanda, where she wants to go to another universe to be with her children, but what's going to happen when she finds, like, what's going to happen with the other Wanda? Well, what is she going to do? Like, if you want to be with Vision and your kids that don't exist, what about Vision? Like, what's going to happen with that? And so that plot line was just so weird. But also at the same time, with what she did in the film, it explored of what the Darkhold can actually do to someone, like what actually causes them to do. And she killed like the entire Illuminati. She killed most of the Masters of the Mystic Arts. And yeah, so she basically killed a lot of people. Besides the stuff that she did to people in the Avengers films. I thought that she was cool, but parts of her plot was not the best. Of course, you know, as a Sam Raimi film, this movie works. And one of the things I love about the MCU films this past year is that every film that they released, and this is just catering for the movies, nothing for the shows or specials, it kind of caters to directorial standpoint, where the directors get to do what they want. So this film is a definitive Sam Raimi film. Thor: Love and Thunder is a Taika Waititi film, and then Black Panther is a Ryan Coogler film. And with this film, with Doctor Strange, you can see a lot of the Sam Raimi isms in it, from the guy that cameos in all his movies. That's definitely something that Sam Raimi has always done in his movies. Let's see. You also got creepy horror stuff with all the deaths, as well as the cool Doctor Strange just piano fight, music fight. All the action sequences in this film were amazing. You get some more cool Doctor Strange. I thought America Chavez was a nice addition to the MCU, and I'm hoping that she'll be part of the Young Avengers one day. I like the story that, and honestly, coming off of Spider-Man No Way Home, I was wondering, like, how are they going to do a story with the multiverse, including Doctor Strange? Because it's like, the idea of seeing Doctor Strange variants interacting with other Doctor Stranges just didn't seem that interesting to me. It's not exactly as cool as seeing all three Spider-Man team up, but they found a way to actually tell a clever story where Doctor Strange is a threat to the whole multiverse, where the choices that he makes causes other people's lives, and that he was always the one to hold the knife. So I actually really like that story. So while it has some flaws, the movie overall is pretty good. Now, this is a special that, when they first announced it, I had no idea what it was going to be. I just imagined the Guardians of the Galaxy special with a mix of Star Wars. But they actually found a way to do a story where it didn't just have seeing the Guardians again, but also setting up what's going to happen in Guardians 3, while at the same time it being a nice Christmas special, and having that and once again, much like the MCU films, like I just said, this is a definitive James Gunn project. This is and I'm pretty sure that's what Guardians 3 is probably going to be like, but at the same time, telling a satisfying emotional story with them going on and living their lives. And so, just, so the addition of Kevin Bacon in here, I thought was great. I love the soundtrack. I love all of these satisfying emotional moments with all our characters, all the emotional moments. Like, I loved all of it. So for me, it's not perfect. I'm not the biggest fan of Groot's design. I personally really enjoyed this special. Now, when they first announced this special, I had no idea what to expect. All I knew is that it was about a werewolf, it was going to be a special, and it was going to be directed by the guy that did the music for the Spider-Man films. So I literally had no idea what to expect from this. But then we got the trailer from D23, and it looked pretty cool. Looked like a 1930s horror film. And then we actually got the special, and it was something incredible. First off, it introduced 3 new characters that I liked, which are Jack Russell, the Werewolf, Man-Thing, and Elsa Bloodstone. But at the same time, it had this unique style of a 1930s and 40s horror film, while at the same time telling a pretty cool story of these monster hunters and trying to hunt down the monster when they realize the monster is probably right in front of them. And then, of course, the special ends where you get the werewolf and tons of bloody, cool horror action, and it's just fantastic. So I really liked this special, and I can't wait to see more of these characters again in the future. Now, of all of the MCU films, this is probably the one that has the most difficult choice of filmmaking because of the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman. And, after everyone was mourning the death of him, we were like, how are they going to make Black Panther 2? Like, after getting into the gist of things, how are they going to make that film? And somehow they were able to they managed to make a film that not only paid off to Chadwick Boseman's legacy, but it also did a great story of continuing these characters that we all know and love, where it's really a story about grief and showing you because it's not just showing you what these characters meant to the character of T'Challa, but it's also real. Like, these people are kind of sharing what that kind of story would be like, and I thought that was incredible of what they were able to do. Or they were able to take a story, they were able to take a real life death and make it into an actual story, but it's not just acting, it's actually real stakes, it's real consequences. And I really love that story. The acting, the performances in this film was great. Angela Bassett or Letitia Wright better get a Oscar for this. I loved the introduction to Namor and the Talokans, especially that it's not similar to Aquaman and Atlantis, and that it's kind of like this underwater city, except it has vibranium too as well. It's not black people, but it's Mesoamerica. I just thought that was really cool. And then, of course, all the action sequences They were also really good. That fight on the Boston Bridge I thought was great, as it has no music and it's just Okoye being a badass and taking out Taliguns. Absolutely amazing. I love the introduction to Riri Williams, and also the stuff that happened with Okoye was also kind of sad. Also, M'Baku was also pretty funny at times too. So, and also the end credit scene with Little T'Challa. I'm excited for that. Now, I will say this: the Ross and Valentina plotline, I'm not the biggest fan of. It just seemed like something I just didn't. That just kept coming back to it, and I'm just like, I don't. Why are we just coming back to this? I don't like this. But overall, I thought that this movie was great. And I think the other thing that I loved about this film, and that this is something I kind of commented on She-Hulk, that this movie doesn't need to do cameos to tell a great story. Where, like, yeah, you have Ross coming back from Civil War and the original Black Panther, but he was kind of an original character in that film in a way. And yeah, Riri Williams is coming back, and Valentina's coming back too, but they actually told a great story where you bring back the returning characters from the first film while at the same time introducing new characters and just telling a great story through that. This is a great film that really encapsulates on all of it. So I love Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why are you going to put this above Black Panther? Technically, Black Panther should be up on the top. I understand that. But let's be honest here. I gave Black Panther an A-. I gave I Am Groot, and I give I Am Groot an A. Like a solid A. Not an A+, not an A-, but right there in the middle of the A's. Because this film is great. I mean, because this series of shorts is great. If you hate Phase 4... if you're tired of it, but you just want to have some fun, this is the series for you. Where it's not just cute baby Groot doing cute baby Groot things, but there's actually kind of a little bit of a plot in it as well, where it's where it's kind of sad, it's kind of happy, it makes you cry. Well, not cry, but like, you know what I mean. It makes you laugh, and overall, it's just funny and hilarious. So I really enjoyed I Am Groot, and I hope you guys too if you go see it. So that's that's pretty much my ranking of all of the 2022 MCU projects. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.